questions you'd like to ask her? Because I mean, to start off with, I can tell you I would probably be the epitome of the silver bullet victim.
Yes.
So if you have questions, you can feel free to shoot. I'll answer anything and I'll tell you my entire story.
Are you from Raleigh?
I was born in Kinston. Yeah. You graduated from Kinston High. What year did you graduate? I was a police officer while you were at Kinston High School in Kinston. Yes.
No, you're fine.
Are you still a police officer?
No, I had a heart attack. Unfortunately, I had a heart attack very young. I was very lucky to survive it, so I'm definitely living on borrowed time.
Right.
I went to school around here. My dad was in pharmaceuticals, so we naturally migrated towards Cary for his work, but I spent every summer in LaGrange, over near North Lenore, as a matter of fact, working on the farm, putting in the back of baling hay, working on the hog farm, doing all the hard labor.
Yeah.
My ex-wife, who is the subject of what I've been through, I've known since middle school. And if I'm being perfectly blunt, she's the only woman I ever really wanted. And I never really expected things to turn out the way they have. I've read online quite a bit. Before I even found the Father's Rights movement, I found quite a few things. And the silver bullet really stood out to me because it's exactly what I've been through. I can tell you, 2016, starting in January, I was charged with trespassing, violation of a domestic violence protective order, and 3 different charges of cyber stalking. Every single bit of it has been dismissed because it was all based on lies. Lies where I presented the appropriate evidence to the DA at the cases, and the DA just kind of shrugged her shoulders and said, "I'm sorry." But by that point in time, sorry really didn't matter because the behavior continued. I mean, I think if sorry isn't something you say, it's something you do. It's when you apologize for something, the real sorry is in the corrective behavior afterwards. Since then, I've been through custody court, I've been through divorce court, I've been through it all. I've spent nights in jail, and unfortunately, being former law enforcement, I didn't get to spend the night in general population. I got to spend the night in a cell about half the size of this tent, with a toilet, and that's it. No TV, no magazine, no one to speak to, and I could only come out an hour a day for my protection because I was former law enforcement. Which, funny, I told the guys, I said, next time I'm not going to tell you. I'll just fight my way through general population if somebody recognizes me, because I don't want to live in those conditions anymore. I mean, there were nights I spent in that cell. There was one night I spent on the floor, on the slab, the concrete slab, and used my sandals as pillows. So this definitely something I've been through. And I can't lie to you, the weight of it all got to me. I turned to the bottle for a while and fell down. I hit rock bottom. But a lesson I taught my oldest son when I was teaching him how to ride a bicycle the very first day was, son, I'll spend all day out here teaching you how to ride this bike, but you have to promise me something. You're going to fall down, and you're going to fall down a lot, and it's going to hurt. But if you promise me that each time you get back up, then I'll be out here all day with you. And he did. And that's what I did. I fell down, but I stood back up bigger, better, badder, and stronger than ever. And that's a big reason why I'm here, because I want to be an example. I want my story to be a testimony to others that you can still persevere. And I think a lot of fathers go through this and they feel defeated. I felt defeated. But I think, and I hate to use the term like war because I'm a veteran as well. I served in the Coast Guard. And war is a sensitive subject because, I've lost a friend. I lost a friend that was killed in Afghanistan. But the best way I can put it is there have been times she put all her eggs in her basket and she won the battle, but I'm still in the war. And I think that's what fathers need to understand is, just because you lose one day, it doesn't mean you lose the war. You have to keep fighting because they're your kids, and they're worth it. So, I've been through the silver bullet. I've been through all that. I've been arrested. I've had police show up at my door. I've done all of that stuff, and it's been embarrassing, especially some of the police officers that showed up at my door are police officers I trained myself. And it was embarrassing, and it is so bad. It got so bad, and this all happened in Johnston County, and I don't want to name names, but I don't mind naming the county because really, the system in Johnston County has just about been complicit in the abuse that she's done. And it's so bad when I go to the courthouse, the deputies at the metal detectors laugh when they see me. And then they look at me and they say, "Well, she's at it again, isn't she? Or are you here to see her again today?" And I just kind of shrug it off and say, "Well, that's not my choice. Do what I have to do." It got so bad with the false accusations that the jailers knew me. And I'd get down there and there was one particular female and a sergeant And they would say to me, she's back to her old tricks again, isn't she? And they would giggle about it. And they would, instead of putting me in a cell, they would keep me beside them in the holding cell by myself because they knew I would be leaving soon because there was no merit. And it cost me probably the best job I ever had. I left law enforcement. I had a heart attack. And I went into making medicine and pharmaceuticals. And it cost me that job because I could not keep my clearance with the Drug Enforcement Agency to work with controlled substances because of the class 1 misdemeanor that she had accused me of, violation of a domestic violence protective order. A domestic violence protective order she took out with no mention of violence whatsoever, none. She's even admitted in text messages, which I presented in court. She's admitted in counseling sessions for co-parenting and even marriage counseling that I'd never laid a hand on her. She knows that she'd never be safer than she would be when she's in my presence. She said these things. And these things were presented in court. And so she was able to take out in Johnson County 2 domestic violence protective orders without a single mention of domestic violence ever. It was all based on hearsay and I say lies, but maybe I should say malicious or willful deception, because lies is a tough word. When you call somebody a liar, I mean, I grew up pretty old school. I could characterize my grandfather as foghorn leghorn. If you called somebody a liar, you better be ready to step outside and fight him. And that's not what I'm trying to get at. I'm not trying to ruffle anyone's feathers. I'm just trying to tell the truth. I'm trying to make a change. Because I was jailed maliciously, with intent, without good reason, by someone that abused a system that was put in place for actual victims. Victims that really needed the help are the ones that are being victimized by someone that used me. And I say that because being a police officer, one of my largest things was domestic violence. I could not stand to go somewhere and see a man twice his wife's size beat up on a woman. What kind of man would do that? Before I got divorced 3 times my wife viciously, or ex-wife now, viciously attacked me in front of my children. 3 times. And when I say viciously attacked, I don't mean she just kind of slapped me. I mean, I've never had a man connect on my chin like she did. And that's the truth. I mean, I saw stars, but I stood there and took it. I would never raise my hand to a woman or a child because I don't feel the need. I'm a big guy to begin with. I can defend myself if I have to in the first place, but in the second place, that's the way my parents raised me, is that you're not a man. The moment you raise your hand to a woman, you're not a man anymore. Now, I understand there are times when someone's getting the best of you and you're just totally getting your butt whooped and you have to defend yourself. But in my case, I think restraint is the call for the day instead of just whooping somebody's butt. I can put my arms around somebody and restrain them until they calm down. So it was ironic to me that a domestic violence protective order was able to be taken out on me twice, when in fact, in front of my children and in front of witnesses, and the system didn't care about this. As a matter of fact, the last time the deputies were called out, they slammed the door on my witness and said, I don't want to hear anything from you. Wouldn't even listen to the witness explaining to the deputy that